Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders discussing issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Miss Anne Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Anne Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group, South Florida's premier marketing, PR, and advertising agency. Thank you for joining our show this afternoon. Before we get started with our broadcast, which we have a really important topic to talk about today, one of my favorite topics. But before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Thank you to the Demesman Dover Accident Attorney, AARP, the Florida Lottery, FAMU Mary, and All of Us Research Program at the University of Miami. Today, I am joined by Thema Campbell, who's the founding president and chief executive officer of Girl Power Rocks Incorporated. And we're going to be discussing Girl Power Rocks, as well as Mama Hattie's House and Florida Girls Initiative. Now, anyone who knows me knows that issues impacting our girls and women is super near and dear to my heart. So I am happy to be joined by Thema today. Welcome, Thema, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Anne Marie. It is a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So you're a first-time guest, and as a first-time guest, I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about your background, share with us your journey to doing this work that you do to empower and change lives of girls, not only in the Miami-Dade area, but across the state of Florida.
Okay, thank you, Anne Marie. First of all, I'm a Southern girl, born and raised in rural Sparta, Georgia, which is my happy place that I love. I'm a mom, I'm a auntie, I'm a lot of things, but mostly I'm an advocate for girls, and especially at-promise girls. And if you're wondering what is an at-promise girl, it is what we used to call at-risk girls, but we don't call them that anymore because we know that these girls have a lot of promise and they need our help. These are girls who are, we call at risk, but these are girls who are promising and their bright futures are at risk without our help and our support. So that's why we call them at promise girls. And so that's what I have been doing for the last 30 years of my life, is advocating for and supporting and putting programs and services in place that help impact the life outcome of young girls in Miami-Dade County.
That is amazing. And I love the term at promise instead of at risk because, you know, there are power in words, right? And,
Yes.
You know, it's so interesting how some of these words are determined underserved, at risk, inner city. You know, they have such negative connotations to us. I love that in your words, at promise is such a more hopeful terminology. So I want to kind of share a little background because I really love what you're doing, and we're going to, you know, hear more about it. But I've been involved in a girls organization called Girls to Women since it started when I was in high school, and then I came back to the area and served on the board and eventually became president and served as president for about 5 or 6 years. But it's so important for programs like that. And I'll say to anyone out there, programs like what Thema is doing are programs that shaped me, whether it was the Dell Teens at the time or Girls to Women or just any other girls group that I was involved in. But seeing so many women come and pour their time, energy, and to be able to show who they are and their success in life really helped just shape how I saw my future. And so it's so important to have these programs like what you're doing, Thema. So tell us more specifically about Girl Power Rocks. Love the name, by the way.
Thank you so much. Girl Power Rocks has been around for 23 years. And what we do is we provide programs and services, evidence-based, gender-specific, with a trauma-focused lens, because the population that we work with, Anne Marie, are girls who come from communities, attend schools where there's a lot of violence, where there is not a lot of a light shed on improving their self-esteem and their self-advocacy. So these are the girls that we work with. We have identified what schools they attend, what neighborhoods they live in. So we provide evidence-based services like therapy, like mentoring programs, life skills, health and wellness, all of these activities and services that help change the trajectory of a girl's life. So we've been doing this for 23 years, serving girls in Miami-Dade County, Liberty City, Little Haiti, Allapattah, Overtown, Brownsville, Perrine, Goose, Richmond Heights, South Dade. So we've been doing this for 23 years. And one of the issues that we encountered over and over again was girls who were aging out of foster care with no place to go. And so that was one of the real reasons why we wanted to build this home for girls called Mama Hattie's House. And by the way, Mama Hattie is the name of my grandmother. Where I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in her home along with my other cousins, and she just had this house that was a small house that I thought was a huge house when I was little, but it turned out to be a very small house that was full of love, good home cooked food, and it was just a safe place and a happy place for us as children. My grandmother took in women who were fleeing abusive husbands. She raised kids who didn't want to be at home with their parents for whatever reason. She raised a lot of kids. And so Mama Hattie's House was a place that I wanted to see for girls who were leaving foster care, girls who were wards of the court, girls who lived with their 87-year-old grandmothers who had no business raising a 13-year-old. And so that's how the concept came about. I kept meeting these girls who had gone through these abusive situations. And one day I said, man, I wish we had a Mama Hattie's House for these girls. And the words left my mouth and never came back. And it took me a while to tell someone about this idea that I had. And as I would tell people, people would say, I want to help you. And then I told my commissioner, Audrey Edmondson, and I told her one day, I said, Commissioner, these are the problems that I see. These are the needs. Too many risk of becoming homeless. They're at a higher risk here in Miami-Dade County, and we can improve these outcomes for these girls. And she said, I'm going to help you. And she conveyed land to us in Overtown. She put us in an agreement to receive money from our local CRA. And she also gifted us with $2 million for the facility before she left office. So this home, Mama Hattie's House, will be a place to call home for these girls, Anne Marie, who are aging out of foster care, who are at risk of sex trafficking. And anybody that follow the news and know about Florida, there's a lot of great things about Florida, and a lot of people come here for a lot of reasons, but a lot of people come here to prey on young girls, especially during those times in our during times in Miami-Dade County when it's very sexy to be here. The Super Bowl, the South Florida Wine, the Wine and Food Festival, all of these things bring a lot of people to Miami, and a lot of girls get caught up in this sex trafficking. And so we are three in the nation for sex trafficking, and Miami-Dade County is number one in the state of Florida. So we have a lot of reasons to build this facility for girls. Too many girls are at risk of being trafficked. Too many girls are at risk of being homeless, and we can change that. We have the capacity to do it. The money is here, and we have the know-how, and we're smart, and we're ingenious, and we can do this. But it takes a little bit from a lot of people, and so we can change these outcomes for girls, and that is the whole reason why we want to build this home for girls in Miami called Mama Hattie's House.
Okay, so where are you in the process of building Mama Hattie's House? I know you say you got the land conveyed, you got the funding. So what are the next steps, or when can we see when is their grand opening?
Okay, so this is the deal. This is about a $20 million project. We probably are about halfway there. and we're in the
Gotcha.
capital campaign, and we have to raise another $10 million to build this facility. So yes, we do have the land. Yes, we do have about $10 million that we can count on, but we need another $10 million. And we know that's approximately what this facility will cost. Hopefully we can break ground in the next 12 months, 12 to 16 months, and then it'll take about a year or more for Mama Hattie's house to be built and operational. So that's sort of like the generic timeline. We don't have a specific timeline because we don't have all the money in the bank.
Well, let's talk about,
right.
So Thema, let's talk about what are some of the things that Mama Hattie's house will have in it for the girls. And you're raising money, you're doing a capital campaign, so I'm sure there's some naming opportunities and things like that. So for anyone out there that may be listening who this may pique their interest, let's talk about what's going to be there, and then what actual funding opportunities or naming opportunities you may have. Is there a brick campaign? Is there anything like that the community can do to help support this initiative?
Right. Okay. So Mama Hattie's house is going to be a 5-story facility in Overtown. And Mama Hattie's house, first of all, we will have 2 floors of residential space, a floor for girls who are aging out of foster care, and those are girls who are 18 to 21. The floor below that is the 4th floor, which is the floor for girls who are at risk of being trafficked. We have worked with the Department of Children and Families, and they have the science to identify girls who are more than likely to be targeted for sex trafficking. So that's the floor for girls who are 11 to 17. Inside of Mama Hattie's house, we are planning to have a innovation center, a technology innovation center. We also want to have a incubator space for female entrepreneurs who are just starting out in business, so that they will have a place to go and launch their business, and so that they can get up and get moving, so that they can move out on their own and other women can come in and do the same thing. We will also need a permanent home for our current programs and services. Right now, we're in Overtown in the Colmer Center, but we need a permanent place to call home for our programs and services. So that's going to be on 1 floor of the building also. The bottom floor of the facility will be a storefront for businesses. We're looking to have anchor tenants who will come in and put a business on the bottom floor of this facility to serve the surrounding communities. And these businesses, the income from these businesses will help us sustain the building. This will be a green building. We will have everything in place that makes this sustainable, that makes this something that's going to be good and kind to the community and the planet. And so we have lots of naming rights. And for anyone who's interested, they can go to our website. It's girlpowerrocks.org. And you can see all of the naming rights, all of the sponsor opportunities, the donor opportunities. We are right now looking for donors to help us build this facility. And it starts at $2 million. The legacy donor is $2 million, and it goes down from there all the way to $250K. And you can find all of this on our website. And we welcome donors. We're looking for donors. We need money to build this facility because the need is too great for us to ignore it at this point.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So anyone who's listening out there that has some deep pockets, this is a way for you to get involved and do something really good for the community, but more importantly, for the future of our girls. Especially those who are at promise, but at the same time being targeted for things like sex trafficking. So let's talk about the Florida
Girls Initiative.
The Florida Girls Initiative.
So the Florida Girls Initiative is another bold, innovative idea that Girl Power is championing because of the need for these at-promise girls, and it goes back to the same issue. at-promise girls in Florida being trafficked, being aging out of foster care, abuse in the home, at schools. The Florida Girls Initiative, the vision for the Florida Girls Initiative is to become a state-funded initiative that will provide some set-aside services for communities across the state of Florida to address the critical issues that's facing girls all over our nation and the world. It's to say to funders, it's to say to legislators, it's to say we need you to see this problem. We are shining a light on this problem, and we need you to set aside funds in your budget for this particular initiative, to say to the Super Bowl, to say to the Wine and Food Festival, this is an important issue that we need your help with. So right now we are the goal is to develop a blueprint, a proven blueprint that can be replicated anywhere in our country, anywhere in the world, to get funders to identify, to see this as a problem and say, hey, out of my budget of XYZ, I'm going to set aside this amount of money for the Florida Girls Initiative. And that is easier said than done. If it was easy, it would have been done already. So it's an uphill climb, but I believe that girl power, along with women from throughout the state of Florida, because we're not just working on this in a silo. We are talking to women throughout the state of Florida, asking them to join us as our ambassadors and as our leaders in this initiative, to talk to the people in their state. To talk to the people in their county and at their commission and at their children's trust and at their United Way, to say, hey, here is a project, here is an initiative where you can join in and help set aside money, goods and services for this population of girls that for too long it has been under the radar, and we have not shined a bright light on this problem. It is so prevalent with girls. They may be in your family and you would not even know what's happening with this girl. But there's a lot of girls, there's too many girls that's being impacted by this. And there's nothing that's been put aside to say, hey, this is a problem and this is how we're going to address it. And that's what we're leading. That's the initiative that we're leading.
Thank you, Thema. So, Thema, with these different initiatives that you have, I would love for our audience to hear, approximately currently, how many girls do you impact each year? And then, of course, with Mama Hattie's House and with, support for this Florida Girls Initiative, what could the impact be like? What is it currently, and then what could it be?
Okay, so let's say right now, Girl Power, annually, we probably impact about 200 girls, 200 or more girls, through our after-school programs, through our Girls Choir of Miami, through our Girls Intervention Program, which is a program for girls who are first-time misdemeanor offenders, for girls who are at risk of sex trafficking. We probably service about 200 girls annually. So that's right here in Dade County. So just imagine that throughout the state of Florida, what that number would look like. Just imagine that girls who age out of foster care every year, and I wish I had some of the statistics in front of me to share with you, but girls aging out of foster care every year, almost half of them become homeless at some point. When they age out of foster care with no family in place, they become homeless. And what happens to homeless people? We have to take care of them in some way or another, as a state, as a county, as individuals. And so why not put some services in place so we can support these women so that they can be productive members of our community who can give back to the community and who can support the community instead of letting these people become homeless, because we know the problem is there and we know how to fix it, but we just haven't done it because it's not easy, but we can fix it. So Mama Hattie's House, for the living quarters, there's 2 floors of residential space. Anne Marie, the 20 girls, 20 beds on each floor. So we can sleep 40 girls at any given time between the 2 floors in this facility. And the goal is to make this something that can be replicated throughout the state of Florida, throughout our country, and throughout the world. And what makes Mama Hattie's house so unique is one of the problems that we did not want to continue to make, Anne Marie, is to build something for girls that they had no hand in helping us build. So what we're doing is we are working with FIU, and we're surveying girls. We're interviewing girls who were in foster care, who aged out of foster care with no place to go. What is it you would like to see in a facility like Mama Hattie's house? What would make you want to live there? What would make you proud to be in a place like this? Because we don't want it to look like some jail. We want it to look like a place that you can call home. So we wanted to have all the comforts of home, including a house parent. So we also have a apartment on each floor of this facility where the house parent live, because we know these girls still need mothering. They still need fathers. And so that's one of the things that's going to be very unique about this home, is that we're going to have a couple or a mom who lives in the facility 24/7, so that these girls have a mother figure and someone to, say, hey, don't do that, or come over here, come talk to mama about this problem. So not just the therapy and learning how to take care of a house, learning how to balance your finances, but also that mothering that a lot of them missed and that they still need, even at the age of 21.
Thank you. And thank you for talking about the possibility of replicating this, because that's one of the questions that I was going to ask. The need is so great, not just in Miami-Dade County, but in so many other parts of the state, not just for girls who are aging out, but like you said, those who may have other challenges at home. So from your perspective, do you ever get overwhelmed with because this is a pretty audacious task and mission that you're taking on. So do you ever get overwhelmed, Thema? And if you do, how do you handle all of it?
Girl, you for me, I know God, and that's where I go. That's where I go, and I have friends, and I watch movies. I disconnect. I take my day to just say, hey, I'm going to watch movies all weekend, but you have to find a way to separate yourself from it, because it is overwhelming. But when you love it, because this is what I love, this is what I love to do, this is what I know I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, it's not really like work. It's not really like work. It's like going every day to a place and you're around people that you love, that you can have fun with, and get a lot of serious work done. Because everybody that I work with, I love them. And it's like a family. It's like a big family. So you keep bringing people into the family who want to do the work, who understands the mission of the work. And so I don't ever get to the point where it gets me depressed, because when I look at these girls, and sometimes I see myself in them, or I see my cousin, and they are a reflection of who I was or could have been, or thank God that wasn't me. And so that is what keeps you motivated. It keeps you going, because the work is so needed and so important. And it's work, but it's not work. It's like getting to do what you love doing. And so that way it doesn't become like a burden to you.
No, that's great. Do you have like a favorite success story? So I'll give an example. I know when I was in college, I mentored girls at the church that I belonged to. And I remember I started mentoring this one young lady. She was about 11 at the time. And by the time I left, she was about 15, 16. And then she invited me to her graduation a couple years after I had left Tallahassee. And then she went to the military and one day she wrote me and said, it was because of your mentorship that, made me be the first one to graduate from high school out of my siblings, and even parents and aunt, and made me, really push me to go to school, but then military. So do you have like a success story that you're very fond of that you would like to share with us?
I have so many. I was just making the staff laugh the other day. This was yesterday. One of our students, she now works in Publix at the bakery. And so I go in Publix one day. I'm running in to get some cream for the coffee. I got to get to work. We got a meeting. And I hear this loud voice, Miss Thema, Miss Thema. And she comes running up to me. I don't remember her name, but I remember her because she always had this very loud voice. And she starts to tell everybody in the store about Miss Thema and girl power. And when I got in my car, I had to cry because this girl, oh man, she gave us so much trouble. We did not think this girl would ever work. She just was somebody that we did not see. And sometimes people think, oh, she's not in college, but sometimes having gainful employment is a big deal for a lot of the girls that we work with. And then just recently, one of the young ladies that was with us since she was in 6th grade, she came back this summer. She's in college. She came back to do an internship. And so when she was leaving to go back to school, we all didn't want to see her go. We all cried and gave her gifts. And then we asked her to speak. And she said, I never thought college was something that was available to me. She said, I never saw college. She said, I never saw myself in college. I saw myself maybe doing nails in the flea market. But she said, I never saw myself, going to college. Not that doing nails in the flea market is not a good thing for you to do, but she just never thought she could go to college. And she said that, and it brought tears to my eyes because I remember this girl. She was a fighter. She would fight you about anything. And I was just so amazed at her. But there's so many girls that we meet along the way. So many of them who become homeless. We had one student when she turned 18. Her father came home on her 18th birthday. She was still in high school and said, oh, you got to leave because today is your 18th birthday and I don't have to take care of you anymore. So you got to leave my house. So we got to work and we found her mentor, and her mentor took her in, and they're still together. And this was over 15 years ago. And she's doing well. So there's so many stories, Anne-Marie, that I can tell you about. But the message is these girls are at promise. They are resilient. Just their resilience amazes me. I don't know what I would do if I was in their shoes sometimes. So the need is there. The need is great, and we can do something about it. So that's the message. We can do something about it.
Absolutely. Well, tell us again, Thema, what we can do about it, how we can get involved, and how to reach you.
Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is remember that these girls are at promise. And I need us to start using that word, at promise. When you see a girl who's acting out and you think she's bad or you think she's whatever, there's some trauma there somewhere. So let's start listening to our girls. Let's listen to them. The other thing is we need your help. We need your help to build Mama Hattie's house. We need your help to get the word out about the support that we need for the Florida Girls Initiative. And we need you to love on girls. We need you to support girls and embrace them and listen to them. And you can go to our website. There's lots of ways you can support. You can become a friend of Girl Power, where you can do an annual a monthly donation or whatever reoccurring amount that you would like. And this goes towards Mama Hattie's house and the Florida Girls Initiative. So there's so many ways that you can help. Follow us on social media, Girl Power Miami, and then you'll get a better idea about the work that we're doing every day, because we do a lot of posting on social media. And just support girls and support Girl Power.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Thema, for being on our show. This has been very, very informative. And everyone who's listening, please, please, if you're able to, get involved. And if you're not in Miami-Dade County, you can still show support. And if that's not enough, you can always get involved in your local community with similar organizations to support girls. There are many out there, and there's such a great need, especially here in South Florida and throughout the state. So whatever you do, take some time, go mentor a girl, go support a girl, or support organizations like Thema's that are helping empower girls of promise. And I love that, Thema, at Promise Girls. Thank you. So thank you for tuning in with us, Thema. We're going to make some quick announcements just to make sure everybody knows what is happening. Nominations are open for Legacy Magazine's Most Influential and Powerful Black Business Professionals for 2023. And that's for Miami-Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach. If you are someone that's accomplishing great things professionally and civically, then you could be one of Legacy Magazine's 2023 Most Influential, Powerful Black Business Leaders. So submit those nominations by March 17th. You can do that online at miamediagroup.com. That's miamediagrp.com. I also want to thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Again, thank you to the Mesmer and Dover Accident Attorneys, AARP, the Florida Lottery, Family Mary, and All of Us Research Program at the University of Miami. And of course, please be sure to tune in to all of our shows. We have something for everyone. On Mondays, we have the Business of Black Business at 1 p.m. with Jay Reynolds. Tuesday, My Money, Your Money at 7 p.m. with Bridgette Lumpkins. Wednesday, we have Soul, all of your entertainment and lifestyle news at 7 p.m. with Nikki Jellin. Thursdays, Lunch with Legacy Leaders with yours truly at noon. And at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, we have Flavor of South Florida, where we are giving you the best in fine dining with Chef Irie. And of course, Health is Wealth. So we can't forget about Black Health Fridays at 2 p.m. with Dr. Michelle Kerwin. As always, everyone, please be sure to share this video. There's someone out there that can use this message and this information. And also make sure you like, subscribe, and follow all of our social media channels, including mine. And be sure to save the date and tune in again next Thursday at noon. Thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon. And thank you, Thema.
Thank you.